Very good afternoon to you. The Department for Education says it will remind head teachers of their responsibility not to remove students from school because of their academic performance. A-level students at one grammar school had their places withdrawn after they failed to achieve the required grades. Their school has now reversed that policy and told them they can continue with their studies.
And the spokesperson said all schools have a responsibility to provide a high-quality education to every pupil and ensure there is no limit to their potential. Students enrolled in a sixth form cannot be removed because of academic ability. The law is clear on this and we expect all schools to follow it. Now that's very strong wording, particularly when you look at just how competitive an environment exists amongst the top grammar schools in England, of which St Olaf's is one of them.
What you just saw was a clip from Sky News explicitly stating that schools have a responsibility to allow students to fulfill their potential and to not remove students based on their academic performance, as this is illegal. My name is Mahel and I was in this position as I was unlawfully removed from Dartford Grammar School for boys, also known as Dartford Grammar School, due to my academic performance and having got 19 points instead of the minimum 24 required to pass the IB diploma in year 12, when I wasn't even sitting my IB diploma exams. Why? I'm going to explain that to you right now. This is my story. For all my life, I have lived in Dartford, despite not being born in a town. Having had two brothers who attended Dartford Grammar School, my parents decided to also enrol me at Dartford Grammar School after me getting a really good score on the 11+. Having spent years 7 to 11 there and achieving GCSEs of 3 A's, 4 B's, 3 C's, this was quite decent. But it wasn't quite the entry requirements of Dartford Grammar School at the time, as it was the first year that they upped the requirements to 4 A's and 3 B's. However, after hearing about the IB and how good it is from the head teachers, deputy heads and different teachers, and being offered a place at school regardless of my GCSE grades, and being told that due to my enthusiasm as well as my commitment towards the school, that I still have a place if I want to take it. Because I heard about the IB and because I had already been there for 5 years, I decided to say yes, not knowing that this would be a massive mistake. It was always in the back of my mind to leave Dartford Grammar School and go to Dartford Grammar School for girls across the road, which I later went to. The national qualification standard is A-levels, not the IB. The IB is simply an international qualification that is done across many countries and more so than A-levels, where the A-level follows a British curriculum, whereas the IB follows an international curriculum. However, having been at the school for 5 years and being told that I'm wanted, it just made me think, you know what? Leaving the school is going to be stress, it's going to be effort, and if the IB is that good, and if the school is that good, then I might as well stay. At this point, because I hadn't achieved their 4 A's and 3 B's requirement, they had the right to eject me because I hadn't met a requirement that they were allowed to set. They were legally allowed to set this requirement. But did they choose to do this? No, they didn't. They let me through anyways. But this was at their choice and they didn't have to do this. They could have just said bye-bye and I would have been able to do nothing about it legally. Year 12 at Dartford Grammar School was fine until it got to exam season around March in 2016. We were constantly pressured that we would have to achieve a minimum of 24 points if we wanted to continue to year 13, as this was apparently a requirement that was set by the school and that they were apparently allowed to set this requirement. You may not know, but I'm quite a last minute person, and if a exam doesn't really contribute towards anything, I'm not going to put my 100% into it, because why would I do an exam just to satisfy a school based on the fact that, oh, this student looks like he's gonna do well at the end of year 13, he's gonna boost us in the league tables. Why would I do that? It's a waste of time, and really, if I were to continue year 13 at Dartford Grammar School and my actual IB was coming up, that's when I would have put effort in, and I'll explain that later with my A-levels. When you do your actual IB exams, you need a minimum of 24 points to achieve the diploma. However, in my mock exams, I only achieved 19 points, having failed a few subjects. After receiving these exams in a hall, I was actually sent to a room along with other people who didn't quite meet this requirement, where we were given a speech by the deputy head about how we didn't meet the 24-point requirement and what would happen next, including a resits. This made me feel really pressured, and it was really wrong of them to condescend students who didn't quite meet 24 points and making them feel like they're useless when in fact they may not have just reached their potential quite yet. I was one of them. Like I said, I didn't try for those exams, and you might be thinking, well, if you didn't try, you deserve what you got. But I'm also going to get into that. Fast forward even more, and then I'm told that I'm going to do a resit in 3 different subjects. I passed 2 of them. One of them, I've got 3 points instead of 4, which is a minimum to pass an IB subject. This is when things went wrong. I was always told that I would not be able to continue into year 13 because I did not meet 24-point requirement. And schools are actually allowed to do this, surprisingly. What they are not allowed to do is simply say, you cannot come back to our sixth form. Schools are allowed to reject you towards year 13, but they have to then provide an alternative, for example, transferring you to another school after consultation, or making you repeat year 12. After pleading with the school to let me redo year 12, as I at the time thought, you know what, maybe year 13 isn't for me if I did only get 19 points and if I failed resits, they said they would think about it. At this point, as I knew I wasn't continuing towards year 13, I decided, why would I do any coursework? Because in Spanish, for example, we started coursework. And if this coursework isn't going to count towards anything, why would I do it? Well, this is when things took a real turn. My head of year being on the power trip that she was on, because at that school, everyone seems to think they're so powerful when really they're not. I don't know what it is about them. I don't know what goes on in their daily life that they think, you know what, I need to feel power over students. 17, 18-year-old people, you know what, they're supposed to be adults, but no, we'll treat them like kids. I don't know what got over her, but then she said, can you come outside, bring your bag please? And I was thinking, what's happened here? She then walked me down and said, Mahel, I'm placing you in isolation as you have refused to do your work. And then I'm just thinking to myself, why would I be placed in isolation over something like this? Especially when it's not going to count towards anything. Why would I do the coursework? After I was taken to the room where I was placed in isolation, I was told to find other schools as I would not be returning to Dartford Grammar School. At the time, I was very frustrated by this because not only was I imprisoned, because that's what isolation is, you are imprisoned because you're not allowed out of that room, and what else are you not able to do? Oh wait, you can't use your phone because they confiscate that, and well, that's like a prison. You can't use your phone in prison, and you can't leave your cell in prison. In front of me was a computer, and I decided to use this to create a list of different schools that I could phone up to transfer towards, where I would have to repeat a year because they offered A-levels, whereas Dartford Grammar School offered IB. This was around June time, I believe, of 2016. I just let the time fly by. There was nothing else they could really do. Like, they couldn't place me in isolation again because they knew I was leaving, I knew I was leaving, there was nothing they were going to do. But my point is that they had no right to actually make me leave based on the fact that I got 19 points. You might be thinking, oh, but you misbehaved, you refused to do your coursework. Okay, isolation is fair. I didn't do some work. I mean, it's a bit extreme, but it's also fair because I didn't get given a detention or something, just straight into isolation. But when you expel a student, there is a procedure that you have to follow, including consulting governors, consulting Kent County Council, because that is where Dartford Grammar is based, is in Kent, and they are maintained by the local authority, which is Kent County Council. But the school did not follow this procedure. It simply said, you are not coming back, find yourself another school. After doing my own research and making my own emails to different schools, and many of them saying that they don't admit students repeating, I found one school, which was across the road, Dartford Grammar School for Girls. The deputy head over at that school invited me for an interview where I took my GCSE grades and got 3As, 4Bs and 3Cs. If you include the half GCSE where I got a B in religious studies, that makes it 5 Bs. But he was very impressed by the fact that I got an A in Japanese and said that I should come back on results day to see if I can enroll at school. Later on, I enrolled at the school. Being an elite grammar school, Dartford Grammar School should well and truly know that it is wrong to eject students based on their academic performance. Instead of saying, we don't want you, you're going to hurt our results table, because essentially that's what they care about. They care about if they're going to place above St. Olave's or not, who was in the news for the same thing the next year, in 2017. This happened to me in 2016. so it didn't make news for me, but it made news for St Olave's. I say this because St Olave's and Dartford Grammar School, I believe, were founded 5 years apart from each other, and they are extremely competitive with each other. I would say that they're really fierce rivals. Dartford Grammar School will always compare themselves to St Olave's, trying to show whenever they beat them in results in the league table, and it just seems like Dartford Grammar School really lost the real picture here, which is students and their welfare rather than where they place on a league table. Instead of offering me the support of helping me get from 19 points to beyond that, they simply said from the get-go, you are not going into year 13, you may be able to do year 12 again, which was then ruled out. This was a joint decision between the deputy head at the time, who is now retired and on the governing chair of the school, the head of year at the time, as well as the headmaster, who would have known about this. The headmaster of Dartford Grammar School is a very funny man because he prides his school on being excellent. You can enjoy doing well at Dartford Grammar School, and also with the IB offering an international curriculum which is better than A-levels, which are broad, narrow rather, whereas IB is broad, international, more recognised by universities, and a way forward. Dartford Grammar School also misadvertised themselves as the Times School of the Year, when in fact they were 17th in the Times School of the Year table and #1 in the IB Times School of the Year. There's a massive difference between the IB School of the Year and the School of the Year. With this school being so dishonest and so lost with the picture, do you really believe them? Is this really where you want to attend? Is this really the sort of school they should be supporting? No, I don't think so. And well, whether you think so, that is entirely your opinion. It disappoints me that nothing happened, in the sense that they got away with it. But that is why I'm making this video 2 years later, because after Dartford Grammar School for Girls took me in, I achieved really bad grades in my end of year 12 exams. And you might be thinking, oh, here we go again, Mahel. And at that point, people said, oh yeah, you're just not cut out for it. Little did they know, in my A-levels, I ended up achieving ABB, having only got a couple of marks away from AAA. When you look at the grades that I got at year 12 at Dartford Grammar School for Girls, and then the grades I got for my final A-level exams, you can see a massive difference, and you can see that I fulfilled my potential. Why? Because Dartford Grammar School for Girls let me. They didn't try no illegal BS. They really supported me, and they looked at my own goals before the league tables. They didn't think, this guy makes, oh no, oh, he did really badly in year 12. We might go down in the league tables because of him. Kick him out. No, they kept me, and they supported me, and they constantly asked me what I want to do and how I'm going to achieve it. And I told them, and they've said that I'm really determined, and I've really changed as year 13 went on. And I did change, because I went from that CEU to ABB. Not only that, Dartford Grammar School for Boys told me I wouldn't get into a top university when I told them that I wanted to go to a top university. When they asked me, guess what? I got into a top university, all thanks to the school over at the road that you commonly criticise for having a common room and not being serious and being lower than you in the league tables. That school that is lower than you in the league tables, that has a common room and, well, apparently is worse than you, took me seriously. Took an IB reject who was illegally kicked out and had wasted a year of his life, and they turned him around from bad grades to good grades because of moral support and really focusing on his goals rather than the school's own agenda. After I was kicked out from Dartford Grammar School for Boys, many people mocked me. They said, 19 points, oh, you're just dumb. Oh, this is your fault, you didn't get illegally kicked out. No, I did get illegally kicked out. A lot of people tried saying to me it wasn't illegal after the St Olaf stuff came out. Read that statement again, go back to it. It specifically says you cannot exclude students based on academic performance. It is illegal to do so. That's what happened to me. I just waited for my time for me to be able to say something, because if I made the video straight after getting kicked out, people would have just knocked me down. People would have said, oh yeah, you're just salty, you got kicked out, you got 19 points, deal with it, it was your fault. Well, no, I didn't get to achieve my potential, but I did thanks to my current school, Dartford Grammar School for Girls. Schools are there to provide quality education and to support the goals of students, not to support their own agenda. The choice to go into year 13 wasn't there, and it's my choice to make whether I want to continue, how well I want to do, what I want to do. Because when you admitted me into the sixth form, the choice is all mine. You legally lost your right to kick me out. You could have kicked me out before sixth form, where I didn't meet your 4A's and 3B's requirement, and I would have been like, you know what? You have a legal right to. I'll just go to Dartford Grammar School for Girls like I was planning on. But instead, you made me waste 1 year of my life, and you made an illegal decision showing that you don't care about your students. You just push them and push them and push them until they are working in what I call a results factory. There is no reason why St. Olave's made national news and the headmaster had to step down from his job, but Dartford Grammar School doesn't even make the news, let alone having people step down from the school. I believe that it is in the interests of the public for them to know what happened to me, because schools should be focusing on the student rather than their league tables. As for the people who said, oh, ha, you got 19 points, ha, you're dumb. I haven't heard any of you, other than 2 people, say anything about me getting ABB and into a top uni. You were able to say that I got 19 points, you were able to say that I was dumb, but where were you when I got ABB, when I got into my university of choice? You weren't there. The worst part of this all is that Dartford Grammar School directly even mocked me for getting kicked out of school in their leavers video. The video starts fine. You're thinking, oh, you know what, it's a start of a leavers video. You've got Paris by the Chainsmokers as a background song, but then it ends like this. The fact is that I have left my current school.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
I find that truly disgusting that school would mock me after illegally kicking me out. And you may argue that it wasn't created directly by the school, but it certainly was shown at the Leavers Assembly at school. As you can see in the screenshot, it is true that some students are more academic than others. However, every student has a goal, and it's a school's responsibility to help them achieve that goal, not to follow their own agenda. That is why I'm very grateful to Dartford Grammar School for Girls for bringing me in when I was low and helping me achieve my potential. But Dartford Grammar School for Boys, shame on you. I should also mention that I did try to complain to Dartford Grammar School for Boys about this, but after sending an email, not only this, I'm blocked by the sixth form of Dartford Grammar School for Boys on Twitter. Do you think they acknowledge what they've done is wrong? You tell me. I think I've covered everything that I need to in this video, and I'll be happy to answer questions or even make a follow-up video if this leads towards it. My name's been Mahel. If you did enjoy the video, then make sure to leave a like, comment below and subscribe. Follow me on social media, those links will be in the description. And like I said, those people who said I got 19 points and laughed, your boy got ABB at A-level. From going 19 points to CEU at A-level in year 12 to ABB. This was Mahel, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.